putting together an annual report this year was weird. Because it feels like there's been 2 years this year. I mean, I thought about putting together some kind of razzle-dazzle fancy video kind of thing. But, you know, one of the things that I have noticed recently is that the more technology becomes a part of other parts of my life, the more I'm handwriting things, I'm making notes, I'm doing things that are tactile instead of technology based. And that was kind of where I ended up wanting to go with my annual report. So here's me with my supplies about to do my annual report. I've got my words for the year, which are tenacity, compassion, and enough. I had those out in front of me as I put together this report. So I decided to go old school. Highlights of the year. 2 services, moving to 2 services was a big change and brought a whole set of challenges. But as Sam said, it also allowed us to serve more people in our building every Sunday. September of 2018 to February of 2019, our average attendance was 91 attendees. This year, September through February, which were the 6 months that we had 2 services, we averaged 107 attendees. So over the same time frame, last year to this year, we went from average of 91 people to an average of 107 people, which is a pretty big jump. And we also saw that our attendance was growing every month, which was great news. Since moving online, our average attendance is 123 attendees, which is pretty exciting. Another highlight is the work of our sanctuary team this year. From the press conference in August that was so perfectly put together, to all the work they did behind the scenes to prepare our room and our congregation, all the way into February when we welcomed Samuel and Susan and their baby Tracy into our congregation. And ever since, these are a tireless group of people. Well, I won't say that. They are probably tired. They are an endlessly generous group of people. And I thank them for their work, and I encourage all of us to support them in whatever way we can. Another highlight of this year was our new hire. Galen Pierce is our coordinator of religious education. As Sam said, it's been a wonderful addition to our staff team, and not only has helped our RE program to grow, but also has we were able to send youth to a rally for the first time in a number of years. And the staff team overall has been really greatly enhanced by Galen's presence. The timing of this was great because in October, I took a really excellent professional development course that's going to come up in a minute. Lastly, one of the highlights of this year was our postcard project, which seems like a lifetime ago. We sent out over 1,000 postcards to people within a few minutes, within a few miles of Northwoods that we feel would share our values. I believe this has generated a lot of interest, people who have come and visited, and hopefully in this time of social distancing, if those folks are looking for a church, they will remember us. The professional development that I mentioned was called Stepping Up to Supervision, and it was probably one of the most beneficial professional experiences I've had as your minister. As a result, we have both me and the staff team and the HR committee have worked on revising job descriptions to include not just the tasks that everyone does, but the what are called core competencies or personal skills and attributes that are an essential part of the job function. And also a performance management plan that includes a new process for doing annual assessment. We've also been working on some goal setting as a result of this program. Both Galen and Jamie have been meeting with me one-on-one, and we are hopefully going to put together some staff goals next year that will help us move in the direction we want to go. I'm really excited about it. Working with the staff team is one of the many highlights of the work I do. Jamie and Galen and I work really well together, and they are excellent. I mentioned this was done in conjunction with HR, which is part of the shared ministry of this church. Shared ministry is so important, both to me and to how we practice our faith and community. So this is why we also share a set of developmental goals, which I'll get to in a minute. The work I've done with membership and stewardship this year has been deeply rewarding and beneficial to the health of the congregation. The work of lay ministry and pastoral care has, as always, been part of both my work and the work of many people in this congregation. Many hands of caring and connection. And finally, the shared ministry of worship arts, which was on display in brilliant fashion today. There are so many people who give so many gifts to this congregation, and it is truly a blessing to work with all of them. Part of our shared ministry, gotta love them. Part of our shared ministry is that we share developmental goals, which were created by you and are also included in my ministry contract. So I just want to look through them a little bit. First developmental goal, a climate of hospitality and welcome to visitors. We have welcomed 18 new members this year. We have done our postcard outreach project, which was the first of its kind at Northwoods. And we've also done a lot, as Sam said, to improve the ease of electronic communication, particularly with an eye towards being welcoming and updating our website to be more visitor friendly. Another one of our developmental goals is to embrace our Unitarian Universalist identity. From the 7 Principles worship series to the religious education program, to just about everything we do. I hear people talking about what does it mean to be a Unitarian Universalist and how does that shape our lives, which is a beautiful thing to see. One of our developmental goals has to do with cultivating a culture of trust in the congregation with open communication and the ability to resolve conflict and manage it in a healthy way. Our Healthy Congregations team has been revived. We'll be voting on a new member for that team today. They've done some great work this year. Our communication processes, including Slack, as well as how we communicate online, have come a long way in terms of offering a transparent leadership culture. There's always room to grow in that area, but I think it is important to both me and our leadership. We have a steady, committed core of lay leaders who their collaboration and their emphasis on shared ministry have done a lot to build a culture of trust within this congregation between leadership and the larger congregation. One of our developmental goals was to create a comprehensive social justice plan for the congregation. I would say not only have we I wouldn't say that we have created a plan, but we've definitely executed one that in hindsight definitely looks like a plan. I mentioned our sanctuary team already. Sam talked about the reproductive justice team. We've led a couple worship services together, as well as the class that I'm co-leading with Robin and many other opportunities that Robin Stout has created to engage on that issue. We've also started a men's group. David Shantz and Brad Teal have done a lot with that, as well as others. That definitely has a social justice orientation as well as an opportunity for fellowship. We have revived the Share the Plate program and have successfully done our first couple of Share the Plates, and we'll continue it on a monthly basis. If you have an organization that would like to be, that you think would be a good Share the Plate recipient, there is a form on the website that you can use to nominate them. I encourage you to do so. As Sam mentioned, our welcoming congregation status has been renewed thanks to the long the long-standing work done by Jerry Hensel and the rest of the welcoming committee. And we've also had a very successful year with Food on the First. Hundreds of pounds of food and many dollars have been donated so that local folks will have more support. Our fifth developmental goal is to develop and sustain effective and compassionate leaders. I am so grateful every day for the talented, compassionate, and generous lay leaders and volunteers with whom I share this ministry. But this year has also included several positions that were not filled in the congregation. And that means that everyone has had to work a little bit harder and stretch a little bit more. Maybe that means we need to rethink some of how our work is done and how we share responsibilities, but it also means that Northwoods would benefit from more work on nurturing leadership potential and empowering ownership of the work of the church by more folks. This is true of any congregation, but as it is one of our developmental goals, it's definitely something that is on my radar, which is great because leadership development is one of my great passions. I love working in shared ministry. So here is my annual report as I might have written it on, say, March 12th. And then we all know what happened. Things turned pretty upside down. Things turned pretty upside down. No, the world turned upside down, honey, not the PowerPoint. No, honey, the whole world. I'm talking about the pandemic. Just go with it. Just go with it has been a theme, right? I don't know if you could hear Sid's half of that conversation, but you could probably guess. So the first draft of my annual report read, "The world of the church turned upside down and inside out 2.5 months ago. We managed, kept our chill, and soon upgraded to awesome, hoping to transition into sustainable excellence soon." Which is good because we might be doing this a while. In other news, stuff happened in the first 8.5 months of the year, but I don't remember what. I'm sure it was great. That was my first draft, but I'm glad that I didn't stay there. Sometimes first thought is best thought, but not always. Glad I took the time to look back over this year and reflect on what we've done as well as count our accomplishments and remind myself that that church did lots of great things so that maybe we can work together to bring it forward into a new way of being. So much has changed in the last 10 weeks. And like I said, there's a good chance that this way of being church will go on for a while. Sam mentioned the UUA recommendations that we not gather in person in large groups for the next year, which feels both heartbreaking and also the right moral choice. Your leadership and I are going to be doing a lot of serious discernment about what this next year is going to look like. But we continue to thrive. The fact that we are here, passing a budget without any major cuts to staff or programming, says that we have done well, not just in our shared ministry, but in our fiduciary responsibility to an organization we love and want to last. So I thank the board and other leaders for their clear-eyed work throughout this year and in the last few weeks, as well as the years to come. For my part, I will focus on exactly the same things I would focus on before, albeit in new ways. Crafting collaborative, meaningful worship, creating faith development and connection opportunities for the whole congregation, providing and supporting others and offering pastoral care, modeling and encouraging clear, effective communication, encouraging spiritual growth, empowering shared ministry, and working with your congregational leaders to develop and sustain those effective, compassionate leaders that will take us into the years to come. We are also entering our 3rd year of developmental ministry, which means that we will be assessing and reviewing the health of our shared ministries and our original developmental goals. None of this will look like we might have thought it would, but I know that we will do it well. We are all learning together new ways of being church. Our creativity will be challenged. Our grief will be great at moments. But if we have learned anything in the last 2.5 months, it is that Northwoods is not a building. Northwoods is us. Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for me? Well, not any questions. I've already answered a lot of questions today, but any questions pertaining to annual report type business? Go ahead, Tito.
In chat, I saw Charlie mention the group of 10. I haven't participated as much as I should, but do we have anything to say about that? That seems to be another way that we're communicating.
Yeah. Well, and as I've mentioned several times today, the work of the membership committee, and a large part of that work has been corralling the information and supporting the leaders of groups of 10 as we figure out how folks are doing, how folks are engaging, and what we might do to connect with people that are not engaging online and are looking for connection. So the groups of 10 leaders and membership team has done tremendous work. It touches on pastoral care, it touches on worship, it touches on our polity part of the preparation for this Zoom meeting, involved getting with the groups of 10 folks and figuring out who might need some extra help getting here. And they have been a really important way of getting information up the chain to where it needs to go for folks that need some support and help. So I don't know if Kate or Lisa Krantz would like to add anything else about groups of 10, but I invite you to do so because they are an important part of how we are caring for each other.
Thanks.
Thanks, Tina.